Hey everyone, welcome to the Cast and Spear podcast. My name is John, and today we have back on the show Joy Rika from joyrika.com, who has an awesome breathing technique course that she's offering. Hey Joy, how are you?
Hey, John.
Today we're going to be covering how yoga can help Spearos, and this is something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. I've been doing yoga for quite some time, not as consistent as I should, but I do know that when I do yoga, I am a better person and hopefully a better diver as well. So, Joy, can you kind of do a deep dive on a couple different areas that I'm interested in? The first one being how yoga can help improve our mental toughness and strength.
Sure. I mean, for me, yoga is not just the physical aspect, right? The physical aspect being things that you've seen on Instagram, things that you've experienced in the yoga studio. Like yoga, in a very deeper meaning, is a way to experience life and a way to experience calmness in the mind. And in the Yoga Sutras, the book that is written about yoga, there's a line that says, you know, this is what yoga is. Yoga is a way to calm your mind entirely and to see things with proper discernment. And if you practice yoga correctly, you will be able to see that world correctly. You can see the world in this way. And then continue to talk about different ways that you could achieve that if you've already completed this, and if you already know how to see the mind and control your mind and have that steadiness in mind, you really don't need the rest of this book. But if you do need help, here's some ways that will help you to calm your mind. And they talk about yoga asana, the physical portion, for about 2 lines of these 4 chapters. And other techniques, they include chanting something or spending time properly with people, like how to have your interactions with people, how to breathe, how to well, actually it doesn't really talk too much about breath work, but it talks about the ways of having about the to achieve this, and you can study. I'm kind of going all over the place with it, but I'm
No,
just
this is
saying that yeah, yoga isn't not just the physical aspect, but there's so many more lifestyle aspects. And what you need really is just a teacher to help unpack what has been written thousands of years ago. And that's what I do for work is I help people unpack ancient wisdom and apply it to their modern day lives so that they can have calm minds and live peacefully.
And I think that's where I wanted to get to was the calmness of the mind, because when I go spearfishing and I can tell immediately if I have a lot of things on my mind, because it's just when you're under the water, especially when you have your mask on, you're kind of tunnel visioned, and then your ears are under the water, so those senses are kind of nullified a little bit. Then it's just like somebody ratchets up the volume knob on the internal talk. And I've always kind of thought that peace of mind is really like peace from the mind. So it's like the duration between the number of thoughts you have is kind of like the quiet time. That's like the peace. And if you can stretch out your time between your two thoughts, or of your multiple thoughts per se, you're going to, be in the present moment. And spearfishing is and freediving is one of the things that kind of extends that gap for myself. Do you see the same thing with?
Absolutely. It's probably why I love it so much actually, is because it's a lot of meditation time. And I think anybody who does a lot of time in the water will feel that and experience that. And they have that little personal radio station that either chatters a lot or maybe you know how to calm your mind through meditative practices that allow you to be more at peace right before you take that big breath and take a dive.
I'm just happy to hear that I'm getting the sense that you're saying that it does translate from dry land to the water. So if I can do either, just regular meditation or yoga, once I start to do that consistently and I start getting that, calmness on dry land, it will translate directly over. Is that a fair statement?
Oh yes, that's how I've experienced it. And I did spend some time training in freediving camps, and I've learned that a lot of what they do for doing those deeper dives is right out of yoga. They practice breath work, they practice body scanning, they practice visualization, they practice stretches, they practice bandha work, holding internal locks. They practice diaphragmatic breathing. There's so much that's done within schools for free diving that come right out of yoga. That it's amazing.
Now, just to kind of tie it in for those Spearos who are like, well, how does this relate to killing a fish? Would you say that when you become calm in your own mind and you feel relaxed and you're not, tense because of all the thinking and stuff that you're doing, that potentially the fish can, realize that you're a calm person in the water. You're almost meant to be there. So therefore they're not going to be skittish and you're just going to become a better hunter because you're going to be more present and you're not going to scare things away. Would you say that that kind of is in line?
I mean, I think so. I think that's how it could work. I mean, I think that for most people who practice is that the Spearo technique, when you're going down and you're just holding the kelp or the rocks at the bottom, just kind of waiting and waiting. You do want to stay as calm and present as possible. And if you have a practice, whatever land practice that you do that allows you to stay as calm as possible, you're able to see and focus yourself clearly. So for me, when I'm focused and I'm underwater, alert, I am present. I am not usually thinking about, what's for dinner later this evening, unless it is the fish, and then I think about the fish that I'm about to shoot for dinner that evening. And I'm able to stay in that state of mind when I'm down there underwater. And that's not 100% of the time, but if it's 80% of the time, I feel it's good enough.
Perfect. I want to switch over away from the mental and a little bit into the flexibility. I can barely touch my toes. What is yoga going to do to make me a better spear fisherman if I, use it to stretch and get a little stronger? What's it going to do for me?
It'll improve your diving technique. It'll improve your how you kick. If you're not very flexible with the ankle movement, if you're not very flexible with the bends, it'll be easier to do duck dives with. It'll be easier to have recovery because your body feels a little bit more limber. Body feels a little bit more agile under the water. You don't feel as stiff and yeah, and if you do stretches for your diaphragm too, especially this diaphragm is a muscle that gets used every time you're, having contractions down there. You're having anytime you're at depth, it's a muscle that does get used. So you want to be able to release and relax your diaphragm after after you've worked it out, just like any muscle.
Now I can hear a bunch of people probably in their heads thinking, I don't got a lot of time between, dealing with family and work and all this stuff. So what is the 20, let's do like a little Pareto analysis of yoga and what it can offer. What is the 20% that somebody should do consistently that's going to give them 80% of the benefit?
Hmm. My practice is only 20 minutes a day. So it's not really like I need to do all that much. So what I would do is I go to my yoga therapist. I have a yoga therapist of my own. So, well, this is what I'm working on. What do I need to practice and focus on next? So having a personal practice is almost like having a personalized meal that somebody knows you very well, cooks for you. So this is exactly what you need to feel the best for the rest of your day. And it's going to balance you. It's going to work the muscles that you may need to be stretching. It will give you the breath patterns that you'll be needing to do. It will allow you to calm your mind. And just 20 minutes a day is enough for me to get through the rest. And that's not just what I do. I also, I may work out, I may practice a little bit more deeper stretches, but the 20 minutes is what sets the tone for the rest of my day. And that involves, again, like it involves chanting, it involves a little bit of meditation, it involves a little bit of stretching and breath work. And I'd say breath work is that bit that's just so useful if you practice that even 5 minutes a day. If you do it throughout the day, I think you're going to find some long-term benefits in how you think and how you are able to relax and how you're able to experience bottom time, and just the benefits are so endless.
So, if somebody can't say afford like a yoga coach, or they might not, really feel like they're ready for it or not, what's like two or three things that we can leave them with? So I think you said something about your diaphragm. Do you have like a single stretch that they can do, a couple minutes throughout the day, or maybe some downward dog so that they stretch out their hammies, or like what is just something that's like, hey, do this for a while and it's going to just move the needle noticeably for you, and then you'll know that this is kind of legit, and if you need to do more of it, you can always go searching out, more knowledge. But what would you say, like one or two things they can do?
I would say connect the breath to the movement. So even if you just come up high on your toes and then take your arms over your head and breathe in with your shoulders relaxed, and then you take your heels down and your hands down, and then you breathe out. And then you do it again. You breathe in, you bring your arms up over your head, and then you breathe out, take your hands down, breathe down, and you do it one more time. Breathe in, and then feel your breath through your whole chest, belly, back, exhale. So you're taking 3 deep breaths that are connected to your movement. What that does is that it's connecting, it's unconscious. You're breathing, making it conscious, and connecting it with something that's very conscious, usually your movement. And just by starting that awareness, you may notice some benefit.
Perfect. I think that's a perfect place to stop. Thank you so much for coming on this episode, Joy. You can find out more information from Joy at joyrika.com, and I will put links and all this information in the show notes. And tomorrow we're going to talk with Joy again about how she was able to get to 131 feet in a very short amount of time. Thanks, Joy, for coming on. Hey, just one more thing before you go. Would you find it helpful to get a few fishing tips and tricks sent straight to your inbox? Well, if so, head over to castandspear.com/join and sign up for our weekly newsletter. Tight lines.